Hi, everybody, and welcome to Office Hours. Office Hours, as I have mentioned many times before, is a podcast, a series of workshops that we are doing in the Master of Liberal Arts about the main questions that you are asking during office hours, centering around academic careers, conferences, publication, PhD applications, and careers as professors, for example. And we are trying to answer them in a short podcast, no more than 15 minutes, during which you can ask questions or send questions beforehand. Today, we are talking about publishing your capstone project. Again, my name is Tristan Cabello. I'm the Associate Director for the Master of Liberal Arts. You can contact me on LinkedIn at Tristan Cabello or send me an email if you have more questions about this workshop. So, what is academic publishing? First, I think it's interesting to start by what academic publishing is not. So, it's not self publishing, it's not something that you are going to publish with Amazon, for example, or with another platform that will allow you to publish your project on your own. It is not also commercial publishing. This is not usually the type of books that you buy at Barnes and Nobles, you know, books published by Random House, HarperCollins, Simon and Schuster, for example. Academic publishing, it's a scholarship. So it's usually published with a university press, usually in the formats of books and articles. Usually there is a long process of peer reviewing that's involved that could potentially last months, sometimes years. And it's not something you're gonna make a lot of money of unless your book is a bestseller. But it's not lucrative. Usually, when you publish an article in a journal, you don't make much money out of it. So, where to start? If you have not published before, I think it's important to start with minor assignments. For example, you could start by publishing book reviews. You could start by publishing longer scholarly reviews. You can also publish encyclopedia entries if you want to. And there's a lot of venues where you can find opportunities to do so. First, you should ask your advisor if he has any advice to give you, any feedback to give you on where to publish your first academic article. And then there's a lot of different websites where you can find announcements for publication. For example, HNet is a good website, or your scholarly or professional organization in your field probably has also a lot of announcement, a lot of ads to publish your article. So, when you have a scholarly article, that is, you know, your capstone project is published, you have received a good grade, and you want to move forward and send it to a journal. Before you submit your work to a journal, make sure that your paper is letter perfect, that your scholarly contribution, your argument, the academic mechanics, the research mechanics are on point. That means that you check, for example, what type of citation style the journal wants you to use. And that is very much, you know, depending on your field. Then you have to decide on a journal. And so when it comes to journal, you have many options available. You need to decide on the scope of the journal, the audience and the style, the prestige, the impact of the journal, the reviewing process, the publishing model. All of this are things to take into consideration. But here again, your best bet is to ask your advisor or people in your field for feedback about what is the best thing to do for you given where you are in your career. You know, some of you have already published many articles, some of you, it will be the first one. You could also potentially, it's true that many MLS students are actually doing this. publish a monograph. That is to say, your first book. Many students have published their first book while they were studying in the MLA program, so this is not uncommon. So, how do you select a press here? When you are choosing a publisher, you need to determine their reputation, their academic standing. It is important that you seek to publish with a publisher that's reputable, well known in your field of study. But again, this varies dramatically from discipline and fields of study. So, your best bet here again is to ask your advisor, to ask people in your field. um, uh, one press that's very good for, let's say, American urban history may not be the best bet for medieval history, for example. So be careful about this. How to send a proposal? Um, every press has actually a requirement, and it's very easy to find out. You click on the authors, usually tab in the press, on the website of the press, and all the requirements will be available to you. So each press has specific requirements. Your best bet here is to probably meet with the person at the press, or talk or have a talk with them to decide, on what's the best next step for you. Beware, of course, of predatory and vanity publishers. You will receive emails from publishers, especially when you put your thesis on the JHU website, that will ask you to publish your work. Usually, those are not the best presses to work with. So what does the peer review process look like? We do a lot of peer reviewing in the courses that I teach here in the MLA program, in research method, and the capstone. All of those are peer reviewing courses. Why? Because this is exactly what you are going to do when you submit your article to a press. So most of the time when your article is accepted to a press, it will be forwarded directly to reviewers. Reviewers usually are researchers in your field, and because they usually do not receive compensation, and because they are usually very busy with full-time jobs and the like, this can result in delays in the way they review your article, which means that this is a long process. Okay, so you might send out your article, let's say, in September. You won't receive reviews maybe until January or February if you're lucky. So again, if your paper is accepted, if it passes the first round, this is already good news, but you may not move to the next step of the reviewing process until a few months, down the road. Possible outcomes for review are unconditional acceptance. This is very rare. Usually what you have to do is revise and resubmit. So you will have some revisions to accomplish before it is published. And most of the time, especially for a very highly ranked journal, it is a rejection when this is your first article. And that's completely normal. This is why you have to start early on when this is your first articles with maybe journal that are less prestigious. Don't aim at the most prestigious journal when you are just starting in the business. And again, here, as I mentioned, depending on the journal, it can be a very, very long process that will last sometimes for up to a year. So make sure that you're patient. It's a very rewarding process, but it's very, very long as well. So if you have written a great capstone, you've received a good grade, and you want to turn it into an article or into a book, what should you do? First, start with your advisor. What is the next best step? Have this conversation with your advisor. If this is your capstone, in order to remove, all bias, coming from your advisor, I would suggest that you do that after the course is done, after you have graduated, and you have, a colleague to colleague conversation with your advisor, where they can actually tell you what they think is the best next step for you. Seek unbiased feedback that is beyond your advisor also, and beyond the program that you're in, beyond almost the university that you're in, okay? Outside of your circle. A great thesis, again, and a great scholarly article are two different things. You have done a lot of work on your capstone, you have done a lot of work on your thesis. It doesn't mean that this is going to get published. It's two different exercises. That means that most of the time, what you have to do is spend a lot of time revising your capstone, your article, in order to have a publishable scholarly article. One way to seek validation, external academic validation outside of your program, of course, is to go to conferences. That's a very good way to test your ideas and to make sure that they are acceptable by your scholarly community. So go to conferences, get feedback, as many as you can, as much as you can. It's very, very important. Read the best researchers in your field, of course, it goes without saying, and work closely with an advisor or with a writing coach. There are many of them that you can find online. It's usually very useful. Again, this is a long but a rewarding process. So stay focused. We're here to help. We have helped many students throughout the years to publish their articles, their first academic article, and it's been a very rewarding process for them. That being said, I can answer a few questions, and let me see here. So there were a few questions here. Oh, just one question, actually. Can I submit my article to different presses, different journals? The answer to that is no. Usually, you can submit your article only to one journal. And when you get either rejected or accepted, if you get rejected, you can absolutely submit it to another journal. If you get accepted, then you move on with that journal. But usually, what's recommended to do is not to submit your article to different journals. Um, of course, if you want to submit a proposal, I think this is entirely doable to submit your article, your proposal to several different presses. But of course, this is not always recommended. So this you need to check with your advisor, and also probably with the presses. What do they accept? What do they not accept? So that being said, thank you so much for joining us today. That was episode number 5 of our office hours. There will be another episode tomorrow about how to become a college professor, and I will be happy to see you there. So thank you so much. See you there tomorrow. Bye.